ओके प्रारंभं करिष्यामः इदानीं ॐ योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्य किल शक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् वागर्थाविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्थप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेते मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं हरिः ओम्। सर्वेभ्यः नमस्काराः सुस्वागतम्। गतसप्ताहे किञ्चित् कर्माणां विचारं किञ्चित् दृष्टवन्तः। कर्म कः, किमर्थं कर्मं कर्तुम् आवश्यकं, करणीयं, किमर्थं वयं विश्वे why should we engage ourselves in work? Karmopattam. That's what we saw. And we also saw this. I just brought about the concept of Janma, Marana, Janma, Mrityu, and then what happens beyond that and how we come back. That was a gist. Of course, you can take that up. Chandogya Upanishad will describe a lot more things. Let's start from there and move to the next shloka that we have here. Okay. So essentially we started with this. So there is some level of karma that is there. That is a desire to live, do things, etc., etc., etc. In order to fulfill that, you get into an action state that leads a level of karma phala. That karma phala will have some residual karma. That residual, desire, that residual desire again goes into the karma loop, and it goes on and on and on and on. So that is how it is. Now, please note, okay, then I brought about this Kala Chakra, where we said there's a warehouse of individual karmas accumulated over a period of time. Then Janma is Prarabdha Karma. Now, when I say this cycle is supposed to represent your body, please don't assume that it is a human body. So it can be any form of life, any form of body that you want to take to exhaust this karma phala. So it could be, there is a whole lot of there's a full literature on, full study done on when the prana, Udana Vayu takes out the prana and the Jivatma out, from what part of the body does it leave, and because of leaving out from which part of the body, how the next journey is going to be and how it comes back. So even Taittiriya Upanishad describes it very briefly. It does not describe so much. It just says Akashat Vayor Agniya Agnerapah Apya Oshadi Apya Prithvi Prithivya Oshadeyaha Oshadibhyo Annam Purusha. Goes, but then Chandogya Upanishad gives it much more in detail. What loka does the jiva go to? From that loka, how does it come back? Etc. etc. Parjanyat, how does Parjanyat Annabhavishyate, etc. 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 It goes on very, very detailed, and it gives a very detailed structure of what body is it going to take as the next level and what is it that you are going to go. So it is very well described there. Okay, so then we saw this small part, Mrityu, and then it goes back, and then Paraloke, and then it is timeshare, and it gets back to this whole warehouse business and things like that. This is where we stopped last week, right? So now what we will do, we'll go to the next shloka. So which is where? So if you understand this, this is Shankaracharya has brought about this whole thing now from this point onwards. Everything will revolve around how to engage in work, or rather, Bhaja Govindam, as I say, is a thesis by negation. Essentially, how not to engage in something. So basically, you go about saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, etc., etc., etc. Whatever is remaining, you can do. So Bhaja Govindam is some sort of that. It takes that approach to any to Vedanta to get into doing things. Okay. So what not to do? It goes about next 4-5 shlokas will just be in this state of how not to do certain things. Okay. So let's start with the fourth shloka today, which basically says, oh, नारीस्थनबरनाभीदेशं दृष्ट्वा मागामोहावेशं ये तन्मांसवसादिविकारं मनसि विचिन्तय वारं वारम्. So essentially this is bringing out, okay, let me just do the padacheda. Naristhanabaranabhidesham is one word. Drishtva Maga Moha Avesham. Yeah. Yetad Mamsa Avasa Adi Vikaram Manasi Vichintaya Varam Varam. So essentially, this is giving the basest instinct in human, this one of how not to engage in doing something or how to handle this. So you get attracted to certain basic sexual interactions. That is very true of any human being that comes up. Okay. This is the key difference between any animal and a human being, essentially. Animals also have this lust and this basic instinct. But the thing is, they have they're conditioned only for the case of progeniting. They're very clear about it. They're pre-programmed. Human beings are not technically, they're given that free will. So the mind works in a way that it works. The way it works. You can't help that. This is true for any human being. This is given from the perspective of a man, but the same is true with the female character as well. Nothing very different there. So I don't think we need to debate on that part. So the thing he says is, don't get into it out of moha and avesha. Two keywords. See, Nari Stanabhara Nabhi Desham. We'll just, okay, let me do that. Drishtva Adittu Kriya Padani Ga Vichintaya. Nari Stanabhara Nabhi Desham Drishtva. Looking at the figure of some, getting attracted to something. Moha Avesham Ma Gasva. Don't get into that. Okay. Kim Karoto? Kim Karaniyam? Tadavastam. Yetad, that whole thing is only a bodily appearance because of there is muscle, then there is blood, and then mamsa is muscle, avasa is blood, and then adi vikara. It is a shape and form coming out of these things. So essentially, Adi Shankaracharya is telling us, use cynicism to your advantage. A cynic is a person who knows the price of everything but the value of nothing. Right. So he says, in this state, when you are not in a dharmic state, see, if it's your spouse, you are not doing this, then it will be a problem. But if it's not a spouse that you are getting into that, it is a challenge. It's a problem. So use the cynicism in you and tell yourself it's only a state of, some state of mud and bodily muscle and things like that, and get out of it. So that is the message that Adi Shankaracharya is giving us here. So getting out of this moha and avesha, that is very critical. So let's just do that and look at what moha and avesha mean today. So that should be this one of our this one. If I quickly look at the Anvaya Rachana, it is basically Nari Stanapara Nabi Desham Drishva Moha Avesham Magasva. Don't get into that. Just start thinking instead of thinking that it is something that is very attractive. Get into a state where you convince your mind that it's only something coming out of some human flesh, some flesh, blood, etc., 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 which is nothing more than that. So go about ignoring it beyond a point, right? So the same thing applying to your spouse is very different. Krishna very clearly, there's an episode in Mahabharata where he goes about saying, when Parikshit is still born, he says, यदि हम नित्य ब्रह्मचारी अस्मि येषा शिशुरुदति. It's a stillborn baby. He says, now I put my own this to stake. Now a person with 16,000 wives can't say I'm in what you can't say quote unquote. That's why the word celibate is not a right word. When you are doing things in the dharmic sense, in the right sense, without vitiating anything, then it becomes, that is the concept of brahmachari that is coming up there. So that is what he's saying. If it is outside the purview of what you should be doing, take this approach of cynicism to get out of it. Okay. So that is this one message coming out here. So let us see this one. Akarshakan Rupan Vilokya. I think these are all very straightforward. There should be a Gaswa here because he's just said Ga Dhatu, but it implies Gaswa.
It's not Gam Dhatu, it is Ga.
It's not Gam Dhatu, it's not at all Gam Dhatu. Oh. Don't fall in. That's what it means.
Ga is don't falling down. Ga is
going.
Going.
No, Gum is also going. Ga is also going. Please wait. Gum is going. Gachatu is different from Gasva. Gacha is what you would use. But this Gadhatu says Gasva. Ga, it's sort of a, you can say a colloquial usage where it says, falling. The better word is falling. Pata. Yes, Srividya Madhya.
We take ma, ga together. So
ma, correct.
Aga or
ma pata. That's why.
Okay.
Moha avesham ma pata. Ma ga. Gasva. Tvam gasva.
So ga means pata.
Not pata. It does not mean pata. It means go only.
Oh, okay.
But in this context, you can say fall.
Okay. Okay.
Contextually, it is that. Okay. Mamsavasadi vikaram. Mamsa majja rakta eva asti tatra. Manasi vichintaya. Chintadhatoho lotlakare vichintaniyam. Astuva. If I were to do a he murkha akarshakan rupan vilokya tamasika kamat. There are a lot of tamasika kamat that you can get into. Kashmale Brahme Mapata Yetat Sarvam Mamsat Majjayaha Raktat Ityadayebhyah Ityadayebhyah Eva Iti Vichintaya. Astuva. So I hope this part is clear now. This much should be clear. It is straightforward. Now let's take this word moha avesha. What does moha avesha mean? Okay, some comments on moha avesha will be helpful to go forward. Anybody who wants to start? What does moha and avesha mean? Moha is the desire. No, moha will not be desire.
Attraction.
Will be desire.
Attraction towards something.
Attraction, okay, to some extent attraction, but attraction is also not so very
that deep that deep attraction or that extreme desire for
Kama Krodha, it will lead. Suppose
yes, it comes in that. Yes, we'll see that Shadvikaraha. Shadari Varga. Astu. Parvati Madhya Vadantu.
Infatuation.
Infatuation. Okay. Okay. Let us see some things that come up because of this. Now,
Mohena avesham.
Muina avesham, Satyam. That is the right this one. So let us see how we can define these things and see what happens. Let's see what happens because of moha. Then we'll understand what moha itself is. Mohat kim bhavishyati. सर्वे कति जनाः एतौ श्लोकौ दृष्टवन्तः ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. This is the 6 or 7 stage, 7-step the road to destruction.
Shatvikara.
Not Shadvikara, it does not bring out the full Shadvikara, but yes, it says, if you associate with something, with some external object and really get into it, Sangha, a deep sense of association with external objects. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha, external objects. Sangasteshu Pajayate. Teshu Sangaha Upajayate. You get into a sense of attachment. You get attached to it. That leads to a level of unreasonable lust. Too much of desires. Too much of desire. I need this. If it is not there, something is going to happen. A level of lust. Kama, krodho vijayate. Suppose you don't get it. If you get it, then it gets into a higher state. I want more. At some point, there's going to be a limit, that you can't get any more. There's going to be some limit. There's a misplaced anger that comes into play. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. This is moha. Delusion. A state of deep delusion that, without this I cannot live. Is there anything in this world that we cannot live without?
Yes, so many things.
Air and food.
So many things we can be without.
No, we can be without is different. So that is what happens. You get into a state of delusion to say, without this, there is no way I can live with. What that does is it shrouds your intellect. Sammohat smruti vibhramaha. Smruti Brahmshat Buddhi Nashaha. Reasoning faculty is gone. It cannot take anything more. You don't get any logical reasoning about that. Smruti Brahmshat Buddhi Nasha. Buddhi Nashat Pranashati. Without any reasoning, if you make decisions without good reason, you are bound to fail. Correct? So that is the key thing that happens because of a deluded state. A state of delusion. Now, this delusion, as Krishna has pointed out in this shloka, it comes out of a state of unreasonable and unwarranted lust and an unwarranted anger, misplaced anger. Okay, so it makes sense to understand these terms in a little more sense, right? So let us see what happens. Okay. So there is a concept called Shadari Vargaha. So moha is a part of that Shadari Vargaha. There are these 6 things, as Chitra Mahodaya was earlier saying, which constitute these six things which you do not want to have. So unwarranted desire. Now please note, Kama as a Purushartha is very different. I'm not talking of Kama as a Purushartha here. Kama as an unwarranted desire that probably is not rightfully yours and still you are lusting for it is a different story. Ravana is a classic case. Okay. That is the unwarranted desire that you are looking for. Then you have Krodha. That is a misplaced anger. Again, there is a anger which has its own place and there is an anger which is misplaced. So Jataroshasya Bibhyati. That is what is used for Rama. Right, Jataroshasya Bibhyate is different from just Krodha. This is misplaced. At no point was Rama getting angry. But once he got angry at something that was going wrong, adharmaya, then there was no way it could be controlled. In fact, Hanumanta gives a very good this one of anger. What can happen in anger when he burns down the whole of Lanka and says, hey, oh, there was Sita also. Now I remember there was Sita. Why did I act in anger? Okay. So that is anger. Lobha, greed. We understand this. Moha, that is a deluded state that we were talking about. Mada. Mada is an inebriated state. So basically, you are in no position to make any reasonable judgment, call, or decision around what you should or should not do. Okay. Matsarya. Matsara or Matsarya, that is basically you have jealousy. These are the shed arivargaha. If you have these, then you are then it's as good as doom state. Right? Everybody agrees to this? Any questions or any thoughts around this?
We take everything, all these things as unwarranted or misplaced.
These are unwarranted.
Everything is
See,
misplaced.
as I said, there is a kama as a purushartha and kama as an unwarranted desire. Both are very different. Now, if you take a purushartha, that is only dharmat, artha, arthat, kama. That is very different from saying, I don't deserve this, whether I need this or not is secondary. But this is something that I will go and get. No, whether I am in the right path, wrong path, what it is, I will not go about thinking about it. So all these are Shad Arivarga. That's why it's called Arivarga. Enemies. Enemies sitting within. These are enemies sitting within. And these trigger. Whether we like it or not, these are natural things sitting within. These are natural states of mind that get triggered the moment. These are all because of vasanas that we have brought with us. As simple as that. Now the question is, how do you overcome this? Now, is there a way to overcome this? Now, as we saw last time, if you are going to do something, you need to replace it with something else. Otherwise, it's of no point. There is no point in doing anything. Right? So, what is specified and what comes out very clearly is there is a concept called sadhana chatushtayam. In that sadhana chatushtayam, there is equivalent of these which are called shat sampatti. Shama dhamma adi shat sampattayah. Correct. So, we'll see what they are. Then we will probably get into each of these and see what they mean. Okay. Shama, Dhamma, Uparatihi, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana. How many words have you heard of these? I'm not talking to Sushila Modaya and Chitra Modaya know all of these. I'm not talking to them. People, others. How many of you have heard of all this? Because that will help me where to start with.
No, I haven't.
I've heard of 4.
4. Okay. Basavaraj Modaya?
Samadhana, yeah, maybe, but others, no.
Others,
Not all of them.
So
not all of them.
all
Okay.
this, the Bhagavad Gita talks about all these.
Bhagavad Gita talks about all this. Yes, in some sense, it talks quite a bit. It talks. Yes, yes. So, 16th chapter is full of it actually. Yes, Ramya Mahadaya.
Actually, in yoga we come across, but actually I completely forgot about it.
Yes,
All 6 were there.
Yes. Yamaniyamaya agamishyati. Satyam va? Astu. Ashwini Mahadaya.
Few of them I know.
Few of them. Okay. Vijaya Mahadaya.
Or 3 words we know: Shraddha, Samadhana, not more than that.
Shraddha, Samadhana, Arhat. Oh, good. So let us formally define and understand what they mean. It's very important because what will happen is a lot of times we sort of have a misplaced conception of these things, what they are and how we go about doing them. They're quite related, but it is important that we go through it. Let's start with the simple Shama and go about asking. Okay. Shama. The best part about these things is that, when Shankaracharya writes a full Bhaja Govindam or anything, you don't need to go outside of Shankaracharya's works. You get it from Shankaracharya's works only, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to bring out where Shankaracharya has described these things and given very good things. So it's essentially in two places. In Vedanta Sara is described quite a bit. Another one is in Viveka Chudamani. Is described quite all these things in Viveka Chudamani. Okay. Shama. Shamaha tavat Shravanadi Vyatirikta Vishayebhyaha Manasaha Nigrahaha. That is what he describes it as in Vedanta Sara. I'll tell you what these means. I will do a very detailed understanding. Just hold on. Essentially, Shravanadi. When you say Adi, Shravana is hearing. That much we understand, no? So, and then Shravana, when you say Shravanadi, Atva Chakshu, Shrotradi, Shravanadi, Shabdadi, it means that the other four related with the Shravana. Shrotra, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. That is basically all your sense organs. Ears. So we need to understand that the sense organs are what drives the mind to grasp things externally. Correct? These are the 5 external inputs that we get. Our karmendriyas are those which give the output. The input from the external world come through these 5 sense organs. Correct? So Shravana, Chakshu, then Rasa is this Jihva, then you have Nasika, correct? 4, and then you have the skin, Sparsha. Okay, so these 5 are our external sensory features. Now, these have their function. I mean, they're always going to be open, right? It's not like they have any control over themselves. They are going to be seeing things, they are going to be hearing things. If somebody is shouting outside, there is no way your ear is going to shut down. Unless you force, even if you force it, it's not going to shut down. You can only move out. You need a lot of effort to do that. So it says, Shama is that feature. Even though you get all this, the manas is not going to input it and take a stance on it. It is not going to make any decision based on that. Can you get to that state? That is the state that Shama is. Manasa Nigraha. It'll keep coming. It'll keep coming to the mind. It'll keep happening to the mind. The problem is the mind tries to engage in it. The mind tries to engage in that activity. I'll give you a simpler, very, very straightforward example which does not even involve people around you. Let's say you're sleeping. In some house, there is water falling from the tank. Right? Your ears have gone there. Now you don't have a choice. There is no human connection here. What does the mind do? It starts getting into a loop. Who is this? Where is it coming from? Why is it doing? What is happening? Etc. 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 How dare they leave water? Why is so much water wasted? And there's a huge line of thought. Yet no human being was ever involved with you. It was just some surrounding, something happening. How do you say that yes, there is water falling, that is there, let's leave it at that? Right, that cannot happen. So that is what is a trained Shama will do without getting into a tailspin. Okay. So if I were to look at Virajya Vishaya Vratau, No, Vijaya Vratad Dosha Drishtya Muhurmuho. The key is Dosha Drishtya. Now there is a Dosha Drishti. Now any judgment is a Dosha Drishti in that case. Please note. Without making any judgment call. Swalakshye Niyatavastha Manasaha Shama Uchyate. Bringing it to that state where it is not getting into that dosha drishtya. Without any judgment call. Can you keep it without a judgment call? Yes, it is going to observe. There is no, that cannot be avoided. It cannot, nothing can be said. Perceiving external objects experienced by the sense organs without any pre-biases by the mind. Preconditioning of the mind. There is a preconditioning. Without that preconditioning, can the mind just be, can the mind just ignore it? Leave a child to play. It also hears enough noise all around. Will it react? Does it even care? Yes, Parvati Mohadaya.
So that means you do not, like the example you gave, there's water that was very apt for me. I really go and find out who's wasting water and I switch it off. So you said that is not Shama. You should not be doing it.
No, taking an action is not wrong. You're processing and saying, okay, it should be switched off. But going on a tailspin on that thought that how did this happen and how is this happening is probably a wrong. So there is a point where you stop it, no?
Yeah.
Oh, this happens daily, this happened the other day, how dare this happen again?
Yes, Mahodaya, this happened
Yeah,
for
this
me.
is very... So this is the meaning of Shama. I misunderstood. Shama meaning.
So how do you make it to be in the present? Don't get your mind involved. See, when can you not get your mind involved? You can say that it shall not think any further. Can you get to that state? If you take an action, if you're in a position to take an action, well and good, okay, you can go switch it off or you can get somebody to switch it off, okay. Suppose you're not in a position to do that. Can you still be in a state without the mind reacting? That is the concept of Shama. That is where training of the mind is important. Okay. If you don't train it, then the Shadvikaras, Shadari Vargas are there. They're always there. They're waiting to jump in. Okay. So this is Shama. Shall we move on?
Mahodaya, I wanted to know that when you, even with dosha drishti will also help you to stop the karma also, no? But when you look at, when you have that desire, you say no, what are the disadvantages of it? So you don't have to go that way. Won't that also here when you say dosha drishti here?
Please come again.
I said when dosha drishti for a desire, when you have that dosha drishti for a desire, you actually weigh the pros and cons of that desire, karma. So you might, when the pros is less than the cons, then you will, the desire will go away, right?
No, we are not talking of desire. At this point, we are not talking of desire. We are talking
of karma.
No, we are not talking of karma at all here. This is only a processing of something that is externally happening. Simple.
Okay.
So the karma is something that comes from within, no? That's it. Please note. Okay. I think I know where you are coming from. See, this is not one-to-one mapping. Please note. Dhamma is Mada. So okay, the order is not exactly the same as this. So please note that as replacement of karma is Shama. No, that is not true.
No, I am saying with this Shama, we can have the karma can be reduced. That's what I
that's over a period of time. It naturally happens.
Because of the dosha drishti.
Yes, that naturally happens. Yes. Yes, somebody else was saying something.
Yeah, that the mandir and all, if you go to mandir, before entering the temple, everybody will wash their foot, no? But they never close the tap properly. By that time, my mind will, why they didn't close the tap? Why didn't they? They can close it properly, no? Like that, my mind used to
So,
ask. Sometimes I
so,
will close.
so there you go. So what was the objective of you going to the temple? Was it to close the tap there?
Not, see, the temple in front of see, when water crisis, that time
No,
water
no.
is wasting. That is also.
It is a different story. No, no, no. I'm not talking of those situations. The point I'm making is, can you be in the present? If you have control over the locus of that, you can take some action. If you don't have control over it, can you do something about it? By
That
thinking, you
much
cannot
I
do
feel like
something.
very
No.
difficult for me to when it is wasting.
There you go. Yeah. So that's the preconditioning, no?
Mm.
Yeah. So somebody else was saying something. Bhavani Madhya was saying something.
Acharya,
One minute, 1 minute.
यत्र वयं पश्यामः एतत् सर्वं
हा.
दोषपूर्णं भवति इति
हा.
तस्य
हा.
ग्रहणं भवति परन्तु तर्हि मनसः निग्रहणं कृत्वा
हा.
तत्र शमम् आचरणीयं वा इति
आं महोदय आचरणीयम्
यथा भीष्मेण
एक श्लोकः अस्ति षडध्याये तत्र अर्जुनः पृच्छति किल किमर्थम् why is it that I forced to do something? काम एष क्रोध एष इति रजोगुणसमुद्भवः इति वदिष्यति कृष्णः सत्यं वा? That is one part. Second part, Krishna also says, Katham karaniyam, how to do it? Shanai shanairu paramet, managrihitva, chanchalami manak Krishna, I have not heard this. That's what he says. Correct? Pranali Mahodaya.
Slowly. Slow.
Chapter 6.
No, 1 minute, Mahodaya. Pranali Mahodaya will talk. 1 minute. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm getting that shloka, but I don't have the words in front of me.
चिन्ता नास्ति तत्र एतदेव भविष्यति दोषदृष्ट्या द्रष्टुं मा करोतु इति दोषदृष्ट्या just cleanse your mind of that dosha drishti.
एवं तर्हि यत्र भीष्मेन दर्शितं तत्र यदा द्रौपदी विषयः आसीत् खलु तत्र समम् उच्यते वा?
क्षमा अस्ति तत्र परन्तु मिस्प्लेस् क्षमा.
आम् आम् ओके एतदपि द्विधा भवितुम् अर्हति.
वक्तुं शक्यते बट नॉट अ गुड एग्जांपल. विदुरस्य कार्यम् उत्तमम् इति उच्यन्ते.
I'm saying for all सामान्य जनाः क्षमा could be controlling after knowing that it is wrong or trying to act after knowing it is wrong. So either you could be quiet or you could act inappropriate.
Actually, yeah, you raised a very important point. Actually, I should clarify. It is not Bhishma there. See, the thing is that antarvichalanam api kartum na kartavyam. It should not be internal. This one should also not be there. You may not have a control. So a lot of times what happens is we don't have a control over the locus of what we can handle. But internally we keep on ruminating over it even after a long time. That is also not Shama. That is not Shama. Giving it up at that point itself. Bhishma could not do that, in fact, if I'm right. So that is not a right this one at all. Okay.
So Shivaji would be an example of Shama. He observed something went wrong, and over a period he took a what do you say?
Who?
Decisive action.
Who?
Shivaji,
Shama. We'll have to think through.
But
Shama.
A similar example.
But see, whenever there is a rumination happening, it is Shama is something where you don't let it either internalize. You take an action, that's a different story, but you don't let it internalize with it.
That is more important. Otherwise, asmakam eva kshayah bhavati.
Sarvada bhavishyati.
Tattu vayam anubhavama jeevane.
Asmakam anubhava eva. Parvati Mahodaya vadatu.
No, that was the same question I had. If you see some injustice, you cannot just shut your eyes, everything, and just keep going.
No, that's what. If you are in a position to take action,
yeah,
take it. But suppose you do not internalize it.
That happens. If you are not able to help, then it just keeps eating at me. Why did I not act? Why did I not do something?
So Krishna is the best example for it, no?
Yeah.
All that he was saying around him was injustice. Everything that he was saying around was injustice. But there was only so much that even he could do. He did not internalize, no? He was in that Yoga Nidra.
So Shama is not to internalize it. Take action if you can, otherwise just ignore.
Yeah.
Peace of mind then.
Or get to that peace of mind however you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever means. That is Shama. Now I'm going to get
Mahodaya,
you...
if a person is in meditation on something, meditating on something, he is not at all disturbed by his surroundings. A true meditation, if he is doing, can we call that as a Shama?
Yes, that obviously, all six will be there at that point.
But he is working out on something, on one object or something, on one thing.
So
can we call that?
Yes, I think you got this right. A lot of times in modern day yoga, they have confused tapas with dhyana.
Yeah, dhyana is on single object, right? Meditation will be completely zero.
No. See, tapas versus dhyana is something to be very clearly brought out. I don't think a lot of yogacharyas are bringing this out. Tapas is with a lot of with something at the end goal. Dhyana is with the only goal of yunjate, samadhi. Okay. Now, as an intermediary goal, you have saguna upasana, saguna dhyana. Right. So, if you are talking of that akara as the rupa and rupa, that is dhyana. But if you are doing tapas to achieve something and contemplating only on manana, vichintanam, that is tapas. The tapas is something that is very different from dhyana. Both are in a very high concentration, high dependent state.
Discipline iti api uchyate khalu tapas. Discipline. Tapas.
Discipline. Yoga is discipline. Yoga, the key word for the modern day term for discipline is actually yoga, nothing more.
So tapas is actually when you want something, you want to reach some place or some goal or wanting something. It's a sort of a desire.
The deep sense of tapas, yes. With some objective in mind, with some objective.
So those in those days, when they were doing tapas, they had some goal in mind for which they were doing.
Absolutely.
That includes Brahma before Srishti too.
Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangraha was a huge goal. If you look at Vishwamitra, yeah, it was a huge goal. You should read the story of Kaushika to Vishwamitra. Huge tapas. Vishwamitra achieved so many things. All the asuras were doing a lot of tapas, no? You can't call that dhyana.
Okay, so even that what Brahma did before Srishti, that is also tapas because his goal was Srishti.
Yes. So kamayata bhausyam prajayete satapo tapyata. It is not dhyana. He didn't get into yoga nidra and then say, okay, something like that. No, it was tapas. Tapas is with a strong sense of something that you are after. Dhyana and tapas are very different.
So in that Hamsa Gita, when Sanat Kumara is asking Brahma, what is that one thing for which that Brahma is actually going on a tapas or dhyana there.
So that we'll have to get into deeper, Mahodaya. I think it's beyond this class for now.
Okay.
We'll keep it that for now. Okay, so Shama is basically getting into something without a pre-biased sense of mind. Okay, so that's very, very critical. And if you get that, you automatically, a lot of times, you will see that the solution naturally comes if you're not getting into the peripheral issues around it. You will probably end up solving the problem. Okay, so it happens. So you can think through it. The next time something is bothering you, think of a way where you are cutting, you are able to, the way to do it is logically cut out what is important to this, to solving this problem and what is not. That will bring you to a state of Shama. Okay, so that is a good way of doing it. Shall we move on? Okay. So the next one is Dhamma. Dhamma is nothing but the opposite of Mada. That's why it is Mada Dhamma. So Dhamma is also what is called in Yama Niyama, it is called Indriya Nigraha. So first step, you are saying, okay, the Indriyas are all open, they are going on. I tell my mind not to react to those Indriyas, whatever they are grasping. Grahanam karishyate. Tatra etkimapi vishayam ma dasyatu. That's what I am saying. Now, I am going a step further and saying, I will train my Indriyas to only see, hear, touch, feel, do whatever when I want them to see or when I don't want them to, when I want them to do that. Otherwise, they're all inside. Otherwise, they're not even doing anything else. Can I train them that way? That is the next step. So, Shabdadibihi. Okay, before that, okay, there's a step behind. Okay, before this, okay, I should see what the Pancha Gnanendriya can do if you let them out. Right? A lot of you might have heard about this. So, let me just show you. This is from Viveka Chudamani. Shabdadibihi, again, Shabdadibihi is Pancha, this one. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Adibihi. Panchabihi eva Pancha Panchatvam Apuho Baddaha. They are Baddaha, Badnati. They are stuck to one of these, one of the things. Basically, our Shravana is our ears are stuck to Shravana, eyes are stuck to Rupa, then tongue is stuck to Rasa, nose is stuck to Gandha, skin is stuck to Sparsha. Correct? Anytime it feels it, it will go and try to get it out. That is the natural way it is trained to do. Kuranga matanga patanga meena bhranga naraha panchabihi anchitaha kim. So I'll just forget the anvaya and all. I'll just give the gist of this. See, Kuranga is a deer. Okay. A deer, whenever it hears that arrow, he makes a small sound whenever it has to be killed. It gets attracted and it starts running towards that sound. And the hunter just fires it. That's it. That's the end of a deer. Matanga, sparsha. A female elephant is put around. All that it does, it tries to go near it, and there's a trap laid and it falls. Okay. Patanga, a moth. Whenever there is light, when you light a lamp, you see how many moths will come and just get attracted, die because of that. Meena, you put into that hook, you put something that will get attracted and it will taste, and because of that, it's this there. Bhranga, honeybee, smell. Suppose the flower closes itself. There are those Venus flytrap and all those, no? That's the death of that honeybee. Now imagine these with one sense organ, they're able to fall into all. These are the only sense organs which are well developed in each of these. The others are not so well developed. They're there, but they're not so easily developed. Now imagine someone with all five. Who is that?
We humans.
Anara, a human being is with all these five. So imagine where all we can fall. Okay. So that is the gist that he is bringing about. The problems that our sense organs can create for us if it is not well within the control. Okay. So first step, Shama, control your mind, even though they are outside, they are all seeing things. The second in Dhamma comes up where it is said, control these senses, train these senses to see, touch, feel, or breathe, whatever, only what you ask it to do. Without that, it should not do anything. It should be instructive. So it should be in that control. That is Dhamma. So ekavaram pashyamaha. Dhammaha brahmendriyanam tadvyati rikta vishayebhyaha nivartanam. Even if it is very attracted to something, it will automatically say, I don't want it. That is the nigraha, that nivartanam. It will withdraw itself. If the mind says withdraw, it will just withdraw. So training that mind. First step, train your mind to not get influenced by something happening outside. Second step, train your indriyas. Through the mind, train your indriyas to pull itself out whenever the mind does not want it to be involved. A lot of yogis will do it. There will be a lot of things going on, but there will be no sense of this. A very simple thing is tapas. Tapas is very good concentrating. When you're in deep concentration, let us say somebody is shouting outside. You're deeply engrossed in something that you love to do. Would you even pay attention to it? There's a long train going around and there's so much of noise happening. Will you even be worried about what's happening? So train it that way that it does not take up anything that you don't want it to take up. Okay. Viveka Jodamani again. Vishayebhyah paravartya sthapanam swasvagolake. This swasvagolake is important. In its own, you will create that boundary where it will not go. Okay. Ubhayesham indriyanam saha damaha parikirtitaha. Yeah, the best example is, that in Kurmonganiva Sadrisha Bhagavad Gita Yam Bhavishyati. Yada Samharate Chayam Kurmonganiva Sarvashaha. When the locus of control is beyond you, Kurmonganiva Sarvashaha. You take everything back. If you have seen a tortoise, so what a tortoise does is it will withdraw itself out. Its face will go inside, its hands and legs will all come in, and everything, it will sit as though there is a shell. That's it. Shell lying there. Nothing else. Urmonganiva sadrishaha. Okay. Tada karaniyam. That is the example given for Dhamma. That is the ideal state that all of us want to indriyani. Hey, 1 minute. Indriyani indriyartebhyah tasya pragya pratishtita. One who can do this is, of course, the pragyasya ka bhasha is what Arjuna asked, and this one for Sita Pragya. But this is what Dhamma will lead you to. Whole control over the locus of what is happening. The indriya is not even perceiving that something is going out there. Okay. So there are two ways of doing. There is what is called, very, very intelligently being blind. So, or rather, what is called, pretending to sleep. No, that is not what is being meant here. Please note, there's a difference between pretending to sleep, but actually withdrawing your senses out. So a lot of people think, I can pretend to sleep. Nobody is going to, no matter what you do, I can walk away. No, that is not what is happening. It's a very state of controlled self where you understand what's your locus standing, and where you do not understand where you say this is beyond me, or I don't need to get involved here. Krishna is the best example, no? I don't know how many of you know the full story of Draupadi's Vastraharana. Krishna did not come until the point she took out her hands fully and put up. In fact, there's in Bhagavata that comes where Narada Muni is goes to meet Krishna. Krishna is very beautifully playing the dice game with Rukmini and Satyabhama. He is happily enjoying it without any this one. Narada says, how dare you sit like this? There is somebody at stake. Your bhakta is undergoing so much of trauma and you are not going there. He says, no, nothing has come to me so far. That is the simple reaction he gives. Narada paints it out, you Maya and all that. He shows, see, something is happening there. Where? She looks up, she says, Drutra, she first calls Yudhishthira to Sahadeva, everyone, all her husbands. Oh, she's calling all of them. Their husbands are, her husbands are there. Why should I worry? That is the first statement. Then she realizes they cannot do anything. So then she says, Shvashura. She's calling Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra. Why me? She then faintly she says Krishna at one point. He said, "Oh, I need to go." Then immediately she says Bhishma. Oh, Bhishma. Bhishma will take care. Until she fully gave up and said nothing. Krishna did not hear, did not see, did not do anything until he was called upon. That is Dhamma. That is the state of Dhamma that we all need to get to. Unfortunately, it is the most difficult state. We all are in that state. Right. Any questions until this point? Prashnaha santi va?
Acharya, anchati tatra kuranga matanga tatra anchati shabdasya artha?
Ek nimisham. I'll just go back. Kutra asti?
Kuranga matanga.
Matanga, patanga, kuranga, meena.
Tatra. Anchitaha kim? Tatra.
Panchabihi anchitaha kim? Atra, okay, no answer. Acha, Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Meena, Bhranga, Astva, Naraha, Nare, Panchabihi anchitaha. Panchabihi anchitaha Naraha kim? That is the Prashna. So, Bhrungaha Bhavishyati. Actually, Eka Nimisham. Give me a minute. What I'll do is do a bit of Padacheda here and तत्र लोपः भवेत् विसर्गलोपः भवेत् तदर्थं कुरंग मातंग पतंग मीन भृंगाः अस्तु वा that should go with this shabdadibihi panchabihi eva. Okay, so that is shabda is matanga, shabda sparsha rupa rasa gandha. That is the order. The order is very clear. Astu va shabda kuranga, sparsha matanga, patanga rupa patanga, rasa meena, bhranga this gandha. Astu va gaha. That is this is bahuvachane asti. Kuranga matanga patanga meena bhrangaha.
Samasta padam.
Samasta padam. Tatpaschat naraha. Panchabihi anchitaha. Panchabihi anchitaha tasya visheshna padam. Naraya visheshna padam. Panchabihi anchitaha naraha kim karishyate? Iti prashnaha.
Anchitah artham agrastha iti va?
Agrastha. One who is fixated with all these things. One who has all these things well flourished. Anchanam, Ankitam. Ankitam asti kila? Manushye Ankitam asti. Sarve well developed asti. Okay. यत्किमपि अन्य प्रश्नाः सन्ति वा? Prashnaha nasti se agre kavishyamah. The concept of Dhamma is clear. Shama is manas nigraha, manas not reacting, not getting into its own spin and doing whatever it's supposed to do. Dhamma is manas training the indriyaha to take care of itself, not to even get into that state. Okay? Astu. Uparatihi. Now this is a little higher, this one. Nivartitanam yetesham tat vyatirikta vishayebhyah uparanam. Vihitanam karmanam vidina parityagaha. Okay. For this, I'll have to bring the concept of karma again. Bahyanalambanam vrittehe yesha uparati uttamaha. That is what it says. But okay. How do you then dissolve your mind? The concept is to dissolve the mind. We said last week that, mind is a bundle of thoughts. Correct? Now, we need to engage in a set of actions, no matter what. As long as the body is there, at least to get away with prarabdha. And as Krishna says, no matter what, even if you are not working, that's a state of work. There is no such thing called a no state of work. Until you are alive, till the day, from the day you are born, till the day you are dead, there is going to be something called work that you will be doing. So how do you now bring yourself to doing only things, but not engaging with thoughts? Not even engaging with thoughts. First step in Shama, there are a lot of things happening. I will not engage with the outside thoughts. That's okay. That's one level. Second level, I will train my indriyas to take only things which I need to take. Third level, there are internal thoughts. Even if you say, okay, indriyas, I will not see anything, I will close everything, I will sleep, you will get into a dream state. Agreed? Everyone will start dreaming something or the other. That is in sleep. Now, what about when you are awake? Daydreaming. So, how do you get to that? That is the question. So, for that, we need to understand the concept of karma. There are panchakarma santi. Panchakarmani santi. If we were to put it out in a standard way. Nitya karma. What are nitya karma? See, we are born with 3 runas and we acquire 2 other runas. Pancharanaha santi. Sarvebhya. Everybody goes through that. What are the 3 acquired? What are the 3 we are born with? Rishi runa, Deva runa, Pitru runa. Right? We are here only because of that. Then we acquire 2 more because of our interaction with the surroundings. Bhuta runa, that is basically we are interacting with so much in the surrounding with so many bhuta. When I say bhuta, don't take it as some bhutadi ghosts. Bhuta is basically panchabhutas. Okay, we interact with Prithvi, Apatejo, Vayu, Akasha. We need that to live our daily life. Those bhuta. Then with people, Manushya. Right. So these are the pancharuna we are there with. And pancharunebhyaha andranam bhavitum karyani. We need to we need to overcome these runas. These are the, if you want to call it, these are the credit balance that you have. Or you have come with so much of debt. So this debt balance has to be exhausted, through this janma at least, for whatever. Start with the parents, at least they were the ones who brought us to this world, and start from there. That runa is definitely there. And I don't think anybody will say we don't have that. And there is also that Rishi runa. Because of them why we have come here, what has happened, etc., etc. And there is a Deva runa also. Okay. So how do we overcome this? There is a concept called Panchamaha Yajna. I will not talk about that today. We'll talk about Yajna at some other point, but we'll talk about it. But there are what are called Nitya Karmaha that we do for this. So, for instance, in Taittiriya Upanishad, it comes, Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava. Right? These are the 4 where you start doing out of respect. So many things. First thing you do is start with the Sandhya Vandanam. That is basically to say, you thank Surya Argya Pradhanam. So somebody, in fact, I want to tell a story here. That's beautiful. I remember that story. I happened to go to Israel in about 5-6 years back. At that point, I am on the invitation of the Israeli government. So at that point, because they figured out that I was from Mysore. So if you know the World War I history, Haifa was won because of two Indian battalions, the mounted police, Mysore mounted police, and the Jodhpur battalion. So these were two placed in Haifa at that point. Because of their cavalry charge, Haifa was won back at the World War storm. This is a part of history probably no history textbook teaches. But there's a huge piece which is, they dedicate a whole part of it. They do it's a huge memorial there which is placed for these. The moment they figured out one other person was from Jodhpur, so because we both were there, they said you should visit the memorial, which was part of good history. They said okay. So then somebody came up with a question, it is in the city center, Haifa, it's a place where right beside the port, you have that such a big memorial built and all that. So somebody put up a nice question, such a good real estate, such a good high real estate value. All of us understand real estate value in India and all that. So don't you think, why should we have this sort of a thing built? I mean, why do you need a memorial? So I said, look, you don't need it. Frankly, you don't need it. So, but to not need it, every morning if you wake up and say, if you stand up and say thank you to the sun who is making you live, if you tell your parents, say thank you, and because of you, if you are saying thank you to all the soldiers who are dying because of whom you are alive, you are still alive, then you don't need this memorial at all. Every day you do that, you don't need this. But suppose you are not doing that and you have forgotten, once in a while somebody should come and force you to remember, then probably you need to have this valued real estate, what you call the so-called valued real estate, to be around. So that is the concept of Rina which was built into our system. Anranam, katam bhaveyuho. How do we become that Anranam? So every morning you start doing things. You start with the simple thing, say, okay, everything is because of the sun. We all understand that sun is the only source of energy for this planet to exist. I don't think we need to elaborate too much on it. If there is no sun, neither am I there, nothing is there. So can I just stand up and say thank you to some part? Then you do some Gayatri Anushtana and all those things. Then there is a Manushya Yajna, Bhuta Yajna, which you do, whatever you cook, you give something out. You do that Atithi Devo Bhava. You bring an Atithi and start feeding. There are villages. There was a time when my grandfather would not eat till somebody from outside had come and eaten at home. So, and Atithi is someone without Atithi. Yasya Titihi Nasti Sa Atithi, right? So that happens. So those things were followed. Today we are not, is a different story. We need to get that Anridam. So that's the Manushya Rana that you are getting over with. Bhutarana. Then it says, Swadhyaya Prajanabhyam na pramatitavyam. That is the Brahmarana. How do you get over that? Swadhyaya and Pravachana. You need to do that Swadhyaya daily. And of course, you can express it as and when you feel. So that is na pramatitavyam. Those are the 5 things that you do it. Now here, Nitya in this sense does not mean daily. Please note. We have this concept called Nitya means daily. Nitya here means cyclical. What is cyclical? Sandhya Vandanam, for instance, if you do Sandhya Vandanam, it is Trikala. Thrice a day you do it. Right. Pitrukaryam is done once a year. Yeah, right. Swadhyaya Pravachana is done through that once a day. So that which is cyclically happening are Nitya karmas. Okay. Then there are what are called Naimitika karmas. What are Naimitika karma? Those which are done because of your position. Because let's say you are a father or a brother or a son or something, you need to do certain things. Best example is Shodash Samskara. You have some responsibility to the family and the society that you are living in. Garbhadana, then you need to educate your children, Brahmopadesha, then you need to take care of marriage, etc., etc., etc. So those come as Naimitika karma. Okay. Then there is the third thing called Kamya Karma, which are usually, see, these do not require anything. Frankly, anybody who has access to air and water can take care of this. Right? You don't need anything much. All you need to do is approach a guru and probably say, okay, please help me how to do it. That is all that you need to do Nitya Karma. Naimitika Karma is for a Grahastha. Mostly in the Grahastha, they need to do it. There is a level of your status that comes out and you need to do it. In fact, if you go and read our entire repository of Shastras, Brahmopadesham does not require you to spend anything. All you need is to go to a place where there is a Vatavraksha. And somebody who can give Upadesha, that is all. And some dana has to be given there. That is the end of Brahmopadesha. You don't need anything else. Today it has become a huge fanfare where you don't want to go. So that is what marriage is. In fact, marriage is also something that can be done without any of them. It's a very simple function that can be taken care of by a few people sitting at home. Okay. So all these are very much within the realm of anybody and everybody. These are not anything beyond. When it comes to Kamya Karma, they are highly desired things. And if you read, in fact, in Balakanda of this one, you'll see what is called the Putrakameshti Yaga and the Rajasuya Yaga, which he performs. Ashwamedha Yaga that is performed. These require elaborate arrangements and enough sampat, without which these cannot be carried out. That's why it was mostly for the kings to take care of, right? And then, of course, because you have done a Kamya Karma, the Prayashchitta Karma is done. There's a Prayashchitta which is done because of that. These are the 4 karmas which are usually done by pretty much anybody. Okay, would take up. If at all, these two, this one nobody has a choice. Everybody will end up doing. In the modern day term, you go to a school, you study, you do things. That is probably your Nitya Karma. You help somebody, you do things, etc., etc. That would be your Nitya Karma. Naimittika Karma is that Shodash Samskara, which is somebody with the responsibility will take care of. Kamya Karma, with somebody who wants to achieve certain things, will take care of. Prayashchitta Karma is somebody who is doing the Kamya Karma and necessarily needs to do this. Then there are Nisheda Karma. Some Tamasika Karma Santi, te Karishyanti. That is there. Now, the concept of Uparati requires us to withdraw from these. So if you look at it, if I were to give it in a very simple manner, you leave a child out who does not know what is right versus wrong. Right? The child will start engaging in action that will attract him. Eating mud, simple example. Right? Simple Nisheda Karma. You don't want it to eat mud. Right? He finds sand, anything that is there, he has to go into the mouth. For whatever reason, that's a very please note, it's a very natural instinct of any child. Irrespective of the child, everything goes to the mouth. Why does everything go to the mouth is a question that I don't think anybody has been able to answer so far. Right? Of course, one philosophical way is aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Pradinam Deham Ashita. That's one way of looking at it. Anything and everything will go to the mouth. If you want, you can put that somewhere here. Slowly, that mother will start saying, how dare you, don't do this, etc., etc., etc. That will keep on coming. Then, having eaten, you need to take a medicine, you need to do that, etc., etc. Then a child needs something in excess. Those things will come. Slowly, it will go only to this Nitya Karma and establish itself in that Nitya Karma. Then, based on the ability, etc., it can go on, right? Now, Uparati requires us to withdraw from all these karma. Okay. In the reverse order. It has to be from the Nisheda Karma onwards to the Nitya Karma. Nobody can get away with Nitya Karma till the day they die. Even though, sannyasis don't do Nitya Karma in the way we do it. They don't have a Sandhya Vandanam, but they do have an Amhika. They do have a process where they do take care of this. They don't do Vedic chanting and all. But they do have Nitya Karma where they need to do it. Okay. So this is something that is prescribed for everyone, and this is how all these go. Uparati requires us to withdraw from here. That means our thought process is so pure and so purified that we don't need to engage in action. Withdrawing from the state of action. Okay. So that is the concept of Uparati. Prashnaha santi va? Pause here.
Mahodaya, so you say the last three we don't do in
No, we
our
don't do last. Yeah,
no,
most
we
of it
don't
is
do.
mostly for the kings and people who are in very, very high. This one. See.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me clarify that. Not quite. There are a lot of things. All these things that you say. If I get a promotion, I'm going to break a coconut. I'm going to do this if I get this, etc., etc., etc. In some sense, you can call them as kamya karma. It is not like they are not. But the thing is that if you look at yajna, the yajna karyas of kamya karma are very different. Okay. So these are not something that will come in the nayamitika karma. Okay.
But for us humans who are tuned in the way of nitya naimitya karma, how can we stop at one point? How can we stop doing
Withdraw.
all these things at one point?
No, you can't. You first step you need to say, okay, I'll accept whatever comes. That is the stopping of your kamya karma. Right. I'm okay with not getting a promotion. If you give me a promotion, I'll take it. Otherwise, no. I'm not going to come to you and say, oh, I'm not going to bribe you to get a promotion. Correct. I mean, that's step one. We can start from there. So in some sense, we do engage in some small little our own ways of that kamya karma.
But I'm not talking about the kamya karma. Naimitya karma and
Naimittika karma, no, you can't. You cannot. Till you have that responsibility, you have to do it. You have to do that. That is not something that you can withdraw. Only once your responsibilities are over, you'll slowly start withdrawing. Right. So let's say, for instance, you have taken care of your children's marriage. You have taken care of your grandchildren's marriage. Now, great-grandchildren's marriage, probably you can let your children take care of, or your grandchildren to take care of that. Right. So that's where probably you can slightly withdraw from. So that will not be your Naimittika karma.
But I've seen, when you do this nitya karma and naimitya karma over and over for years together, it builds in your system. So I've
Exactly.
seen so many person who does even way on the deathbed the nitya karmas.
Yes. That's a very common thing. In fact, as they say, you cannot leave the karma. You're right. So in some sense, you cannot leave the karma. The karma has to leave you. That itself will stop. Okay, let's not harass you anymore. Let's not come to you anymore. So that is over a period of time. You start, that cleansing happens so much and so much and so much. Then it starts, okay, enough. Did not happen anymore. No more of this. The karma has to drop off. Nobody. So as they say, you cannot. Professor Mahadevan puts it very beautifully. You cannot take sannyasa. Sannyasa has to take you. Now that's a very different concept from saying I want to run away to become a sannyasi and create rakas in wherever I go to. So many places where there are problems. It's because sannyasa has not taken. They have taken up something which they believe is sannyasa. So this is a challenge. So that uparati has to come in, where the work itself drops out. Now you don't need to do it. You may enjoy doing it, you may do it, it will itself drop out. There are so many things that drop out at least as we age, things change, You don't wish for the same promotion that you were wishing for some time back. Yes, Disha Madhya, something to say, please.
Does it also refer to the state of karma yoga where we are doing our karma, but we are thinking that, okay, I'm not the doer and I'm not the enjoyer.
So here the Karma Yoga, I am assuming you are referring to chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, right?
So maybe I thought that is something we could add here. I'm not sure if it's correct, but
okay. So there are two things. See, in Bhagavad Gita, let me answer with the Bhagavad Gita as an example itself. There are two places where karma is very elaborately described. One is Karma Yoga in chapter 3. The second part is Karma Sannyasa Yoga, chapter 4. Okay. Gnana Karma, that's why he calls it Gnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. The first part is exactly about describing and taking day-to-day activities. How do you engage in the action of work? What is that? He says, Yagya. Yagya is that framework in which you can Ishta Kama Dukha. You go and milk your cow of desire through this framework called Yagya. So this framework called Dharma, Artha and Kama, you milk your cow of desires. Simple. Whatever you have, you go and do that. So that concept is very much there. That is in that third chapter. But when it comes to practicing Uparati, and that's the point I think Inisha Modi wants to point out, that takes a step further. Now, if you look at Bhagavad Gita from third chapter to fourth chapter, it's a step increase, huge increase. The concepts that are put out in chapter 4 are very, very of very high order. He starts with saying Yagya itself is not something that is done physically. Yagya is something that happens internally. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi Brahmano Brahmana Hutaha. It goes on that way. Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. So anything, Brahma is the harvest, Brahma is the Agni, Brahma is everything. Right? So Uparati will take you to that state where karma of the lower order that we are all practicing, doing, etc., etc., etc. When you start Samarpana Bhava to doing, okay, I will do everything for that Brahmarpanam. Then it goes to that state. The Uparati will naturally come at that point. Is that the point you wanted to make, Nisha Modaya?
yes, sir. Yes.
So that is very important concept. First, you start with daily work as with the child, it starts doing things, it starts eating, it starts doing a lot of things. Over time, it grows and it understands what is right, what is wrong, the way it is taught, etc., 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 and becomes the full human being it needs to. Right? So same way, and it leaves out certain things in the process. So Uparati it will automatically leave out. Right? A 5-year-old child eating sand or mud on the street is something very rare. It has understood by now that it is not something to be had. There are better things that it can eat now. Right? So that is how it goes. Yes, Gomti Madhyavadatam.
So do you, I just want to say, can we think that here contention and detachment both play a vital role?
Yes, they should, because those are the prerequisites to come to Uparati, no?
Okay.
Because if you look at Shama and Dhamma, so this is a hierarchical order. The Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhana are a hierarchical order, very clearly put out. So Shama is first step saying, I'm not going to get affected by what is happening around me. External. Right? The second step is saying, even though there are so many things going around me, I'm only going to concentrate on something that I want to concentrate on. The third step is saying, I will then work in a way that I don't need to, I will work in a way that these things don't impact me at all. That is Uparati. So this hierarchical order is important here.
Yeah.
Astu va? Okay. Recording. Any other questions? Shall we move on to Titiksha? Titiksha. Shitoshnadi Dvandva Sahishnuta Titiksha. Titiksha. Okay. So I'm assuming a lot of you would have heard this. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukhadukkadaha agamapayino anityaha tans tikshasva bharata. So that is where Titiksha is told by Krishna. So Shita Ushnadi Dvandva Sahishnuta. So it is like saying, there is going to be hot and it's going to blow hot and cold outside. There is no way. Somebody is going to come push you. Somebody is going to come give you a cake. You need to take both with the same sense of this one. But it is more than that. Viveka Chudamani, it comes out very clear. Sahanam sarva dukkhana. Here it assumes that in Sukha we all work very well. We are all very good in Sukha. In Dukkha, we tend to start blaming the entire world for all our miseries. So, Apratikara Purvakam, do not react to your misery. Without reacting to your misery, Chinta Vilapa Rahitam. You should have no thoughts at that point. When somebody is something is going very wrong with you, Chinta Vilapa Rahitam. No chinta and no vilapa. Vilapa is like, oh, how can this happen to me? There will be chinta, how do I improve this? That's a different chinta. Okay. Now, the moment you get into how do I improve this, you get into why it happened. See, we tend to, have that disconnect between how to improve versus why it is happening. We think that until we understand why it is happening, we cannot do that. And the moment we get into that why, it's a tailspin. Right. So, apratikara purvakam. If you do it objectively, it is not a bad thing. But if you do it, the way Arjuna was doing it, then you are in trouble. The first whole this one was without any titiksha, no? The whole first chapter from the 20th shloka onwards, it was full of without any titiksha, and he went on and on and on. He gave very beautiful 4 arguments as to why the war should not be fought. So that is what he was doing. He was doing a slice and dice and a very fine cut analysis of what should not happen. So that is what is titiksha. So we can probably continue in it is already 8:28. We can stop here. We'll start with titiksha again next week. Any questions we will take up for the 2 minutes and then we can close. Krishnaः सन्ति वा? अस्तु. समापयामः.
Information overload, sir.
It's a little abstract now.
Information overload, system is breaking down.
System is breaking. Okay, system overload. Okay. No, don't worry, it's all right. Yeah. I thought this was an interesting topic because it was important to take up. So anyway, you can do the manana and come back with more thoughts and questions next week. So we will see.
Listen over and over again.
What is that? Somebody said something.
Listen to this over and over. Otherwise, it just sounds. This is Parvati. I said we have to listen to this over and over.
Listen to this
Otherwise,
over.
it all seems very abstract.
It's very abstract, yes. You need to, Mananam is very important. Manana kartam avashyakam. Satyam. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu nirabhayaः, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkhabhat bhavet. Harihi Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Astu.